Welcome, adult softball managers, to the Spring 2022 Adult Softball Managers Virtual Meeting. My name is Ian Wallace. I am the Adult Sports Coordinator for the City of Surprise, and I will be your contact through the remainder of the season for things such as scores, standings, rules, and just general questions regarding the league. Again, I'm Ian. You'll see emails come from me as ian.wallace@surpriseaz.gov. I'd also like to let you know my supervisor, Jason Bond, will also be involved with adult sports, and as well as the site supervisor, rec leader, Oscar Pena, who most of you probably already know, but you will meet him if you haven't already. And Oscar will be there along with other staff members, depending on the night, to help answer questions and help keep the day-to-day game activities rolling smoothly. Oscar will also be who you would check in with if you have questions about the schedule when you get there, or if you are short players that day. It would be a great idea to let Oscar know when you get there. That way he can let any free agents or any sub players that happen to be hanging around know that you need a sub, and he can point them in the right direction to you. So that was a quick introduction just of the main three people that you'll be dealing with. Just a side note too, Jason does also enjoy talking about adult sports, adult softball. So if you ever have an issue with me, or there's an issue that you feel that I'm not properly paying attention to or taking care of, or if you just would rather talk to Jason, you can always reach him as well. Jason's contact information is at the bottom of the manager's meeting agenda, the front page. There's my information is also at the bottom of that page, along with Jason's. So here in Surprise, this is a rec league. It's a total 100% fun rec softball league. We're trying to get more and more away from the competitive style or side of it, and push more for the pure rec, pure fun league. So the whole point to go out there is to have fun. And if we're arguing and fighting over balls and strikes or outs, then obviously somebody in that equation is not having fun. So we do emphasize participation, fitness, social interaction, and sportsmanship. This is a league for friends, coworkers, acquaintances, to get out and get some exercise, get a little bit of that pent-up energy out from the work week, and above all, again, have fun. This is a pure recreational league. Don't act like a jerk when you're out there. If you get called out at the plate looking, or you feel that it hit the mat, the umpire says different, who cares? It's a recreational softball game. It's not worth getting into an argument or getting into a fight with another player or with a spectator or with an umpire, all over a game that's supposed to be fun in the first place. Next thing, if you go follow along through the packet with me, you'll see the schedules for Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. One thing I would like to remind and point out is that Thursday men's softball, just again a reminder, you are at Bicentennial Park this season, and not at Dick McComb Park. That is due to the fact that our spring youth sports already has the park, Dick McComb Park, reserved on Thursdays, so we aren't able to play out there on Thursdays in the spring. That's why we are at Dick McComb Park. I'm sorry, that's why we're at Bicentennial Park for Thursday men's this season, and not at Dick McComb Park. Thursday men's, please also note, that location is on the schedule itself. Please remind your players that so they don't go to the wrong field on game 1. We play a 7-week regular season normally. Again, Thursdays is a little bit different, having to play only on one field, so that season does extend out a little bit. But normally we play a 7-week season, and then both all leagues, including Thursday, will play a single elimination tournament at the conclusion of the season. All teams are invited and included in the seeding. It doesn't matter if you won all your games or if you didn't win any of your games, you'll still be seeded into the tournament. And so then, theoretically, then everybody has a shot. Even if you didn't come out with the best record of the regular season or win the league trophy or the league shirts, you do still have a shot at winning the tournament trophy and the tournament shirts. Please note that the Rainout hotline is listed on the top of each schedule. You'll notice that it's the same number for the Rainout hotline as it is for Jason Bond. Jason, on days that we are going to experience any inclement weather or anything else like that, he will actually update that number with the most relevant up-to-date information. So you can call that number if it looks like there's going to be rain that day, or if it's already rained the night before. You can give that number a call, and there will be a pre-recorded message with the latest updated information. We do ask that only managers call that number. It is a regular phone line, so if we give it out to all the players and everybody tries to call at the same time, then it might jam up the line, and then it would ring busy and nobody would be able to get through. So we do ask that you don't have players or tell players to call that number. We are only wanting the managers to call that number and then relay that information to their players. We do try to get that updated, especially if there's been rain the night before. It's the first thing we talk about when we come in the morning. So if we know for sure from the night before that we're going to be rained out, we'll have that updated usually by early mid-morning-ish, so that way by the time you're calling in, that information's there. Of course, if it's not there, you can always give me a call too, and I'll be more than happy to either confirm or deny, I guess, the cancellation due to the weather. So after the rosters in the packet, after the schedules in the packet, the next thing we come to is the team roster. One thing that is a little bit new this season, or I guess starting last season, is that we do need the signature of every player on the team. So you put their name, phone number, and then city, state. We eliminated some of the, we don't need the physical address, so you don't have to put the numbers. We just want to know where they're coming from. So even if you just put Surprise or El Mirage or Goodyear, that's fine too. It just helps us track who is participating in the league, and how many people are residents and how many are not. But the main thing is, and the difference now, like I said, is that we do need each player to either initial or sign in the box here, and then the manager signature here on the bottom. And essentially why we need that now is, if you read over all this section here, this is now the waiver for each player. And this is the way we're doing it, rather than having to have each player fill out their own one of these waiver release forms. So it's very important that you have them sign or initial, and that this gets turned in prior to the start of game 1. Now you can if you already know who's going to be on your team, you already have all the names, you already have all the signatures, you can email that to me, and I will make a copy and I will send it out so that it's in the book. And so on game 1, on night 1, you will know right off the bat that your team has already turned it in, and we won't bother you at that point to turn in a roster. But we also understand that for some teams it's easier to just have everybody sign it once you get there on game 1. So if we're going to do that, I just recommend that you get there 10 minutes earlier than you normally would, just to take that time into consideration that it might take to walk around and get everybody on your team to sign that roster form. The next form that's in the packet is the roster add drop form. Looks similar to the roster form, and again, we're asking for similar things. There is a 18 player maximum for your team. We order 18 shirts. So if you have more than 18 players on your team, that means at the end of the season, somebody's not going to get a shirt. We're not going to order more. So make sure that you are limiting your roster to a total of 18. And so what happens if you have 18 already, and then somebody wants to join, and you want to take somebody off the team? Well, it's easy. You just fill one of these out. These are available at the site as well. You're going to put the name of the player that we're going to add. So if we're going to add Dave Jones, we'll add Dave Jones right here. We're going to have Dave initial or sign, put his phone number and the city. And then if we're going to get rid of Kevin Smith, we'll put Kevin Smith right here. I don't actually need him to sign. I think just because of the way the column's set up, it's probably why it's just there. So I don't actually need the player that we're releasing to sign, because we would already have their signature, hopefully, on the original roster form. And then once you do that, just sign and date for me here. And then again, you can either email that to me, or you can turn that right into Oscar at the site, and then he'll turn it into me. We'll make a copy. We'll get it sent back out. And then that way that'll be in the book. And then that player is added, and then the other player is properly dropped, and you're good to go. The next thing in the packet is a copy of the free agent list. It's broken up, color-coded. Green are couples looking for co-ed teams. Blue are men looking for either co-ed or men's. You'll see over in the furthest right column that the league that they're looking for is also included. Sometimes men only want to. Sometimes the free agents only want to play in the men's league. Sometimes they don't care. They want to play in men's or co-ed. And then the pink or red names are female players that are looking to play on co-ed teams. If you are short players, I highly encourage you to utilize the free agent list. There are a lot of players on here. There's probably about 60 or so now. And these folks will definitely show up if you call them. They're all individuals, or maybe 2 people or 3 people. They're looking to catch on with the team. I would definitely use this in a situation where if you know that a lot of your team's going to be out of town on a certain day or a certain game day, go ahead and call ahead now and try to get a couple of these guys lined up. Just let them know right off the bat. I understand it's weird kind of sometimes to add somebody you don't know to a team, especially an adult team that we create ourselves. It's usually friends or coworkers or both. So I wouldn't ask you to invite a stranger onto your team to play on there permanently, but as long as you let them know what the expectation is, and hey Stanley, I need you for 2 games. Can you be there on this day and this day? I'm sure that that person would be more than happy to come out and help you guys out on those days. I always recommend that if you are calling for a sub, that you don't charge them anything. If you're going to bring them in and they're going to be part of the team from here on out, then of course I always there's nothing wrong with charging a free agent a prorated amount. If everybody else on the team paid $25-$30 and you're halfway in, maybe tell them if you do pick them up halfway in, have them give you $15 or whatever, something just to help cover your the manager's. I know a lot of times the manager pays a team fee and then they'll slowly recoup from the players. So there's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to invite them in to play for any significant amount of time, half the season or more, there's nothing wrong with asking that free agent to kick in a little bit towards the team fee. I also let them know of that, so that should be a expectation that they have when you contact them is that they're also going to have to chip in a little bit. We keep free agents' names on there. I try to keep them on there for 1 calendar year, and then I remove them. So that way we're not giving you guys too old of information. League rules. I'm not going to go over every single rule. I think the main ones that I need to hit on are probably some of the more commonly broken rules or questioned rules, I guess. So right off the bat, just to remind everybody, you cannot drink alcohol inside of Dick McComb Park. You're not allowed to smoke. You're not allowed to smoke tobacco. You're not allowed to use a vaporizer. There are signs posted all over the park that let you know this. It is against the rule, and it is against the law. So technically, if you are drinking out there and Surprise PD or one of our new rangers happens to stop by, which they are going to start doing now, we did hire a couple dedicated park rangers that will be driving around checking on sites. If they observe you drinking alcohol out of an open container in public, they are a law enforcement. So if they see you doing it, there's a very good chance that you could be ticketed for that open intoxicant. So please make sure that you're following the rules. We're not bringing any alcohol into the park. And on top of that, if our staff finds out, that you're drinking, or if the umpire sees you drinking and reports it to our staff, we will come over and we will eject the offending players. We'll also eject the offending manager, and if that makes it to where you have to forfeit the game because you don't have enough players, then unfortunately that's on you. If we have to go back and talk about that happening a second time, then chances are we're probably going to remove you from the league, or the offending player from the league. If it's the manager of the league, then unless somebody else would want to take over the team, then we would remove the entire team from the league. Keep in mind that if you are removed from the league for breaking rules such as the alcohol rule, there are no refunds. So you will be out, the entire $450 team fee, and there will be no refunds to teams that are removed, due to breaking rules. Just a reminder, this kind of gets, I guess, lost sometimes, or it's one of those rules that everybody thinks exist that doesn't actually exist. But one thing that always comes up is, well, hey man, I was ejected and I didn't even get a warning. Please go over the rules. In the rules, it states multiple times that you should not have any reasonable expectation of a warning. If you throw your bat, if you curse at the umpire, things like that, there's a good chance you're not going to receive a warning and that you will be asked to leave immediately. There's no reasonable expectation. You should not expect to be warned while you're at the game. This essentially is your warning now. If you act like a jerk, you're going to get thrown out of the game. If you get thrown out of the game, you're automatically suspended for 1 additional game. If you are thrown out of the first game of a doubleheader, that 1 additional game, we would go ahead and we would say that second game of the doubleheader would count as your suspension. If you are thrown out of the second game of a doubleheader, you do have to serve the suspension for game 1 of the next week. This also includes tournament playoffs. So if you're suspended the last game of the season, if you are ejected in the last game of the doubleheader of the regular season, you would have to sit out for the first game of the tournament. If your team lost that first game of the tournament, that would mean then that you were done for the year. If you are ejected twice in a season, again, this is in the rules as well. We haven't really enforced it as much, but we are going to start enforcing it harder. If you are ejected twice in 1 season, you are automatically out for the remainder of that season. If you are a team manager and you're ejected twice in one season, then you would need to either transfer managerial duties to another player, or you would have to, if you didn't want to do that, then we would just withdraw your whole team. And again, a reminder that in that instance, we would not provide a refund for the team registration fee. If you are ejected from the game, you must leave immediately. Immediately. That doesn't mean that you can walk around and talk to people and plead your case to different umpires, and you can't go over to other players that you know and talk about how the umpires mean and threw you out. You can't go over and complain to Oscar about why you got thrown out. If you do not leave immediately, then we are going to take that as you are breaking the ejection rule. And if you don't leave immediately, then you can expect to be issued more suspension games. So if you were thrown out of the first game and you refuse to leave, and then it gets reported to me that you refuse to leave, then more than likely you're going to be out at least the next week, and possibly maybe even the remainder of the season. We don't take this lightly at all, or we're not going to take it as lightly as we did. If you are ejected, you need to leave, plain and simple. And again, if you don't, then there's going to be more severe consequences, and it could lead to just totally banning you and or your team from the league. So please, first off, don't let it get up to that point. Don't work yourself up to that point to where you're getting ejected from a co-ed softball game on a Sunday in the middle of the desert, where it doesn't matter. The ultimate outcome of that game has no outcome on the rest of your life, probably even the rest of your day. So don't get thrown out in the first place. If you do, then leave. Just go. We do allow for you to wait. You can wait out in the parking lot in your car. Especially, a co-ed situation. We understand that a lot of people ride together. And so we don't want to punish one player for another player's actions. And so if that's the case, if you are somebody's ride and you were ejected, we do allow you to wait out in your car, in your vehicle, in the parking lot. But the same rules apply. You're not to have contact with, officials or anything like that. So if you're waiting to drive somebody home after the game and the official walks by your car, you are definitely expected to not make any comments to that official unless it's a friendly wave or hey, sorry about that kind of thing. If we're told that an argument is restarted, if the official is reapproached in the parking lot by a player, then we will simply end or change the policy to make it to where you can't wait in the parking lot anymore either. And I understand that would probably cause quite an inconvenience for that situation where a co-ed team has one player that's kicked out and it's somebody else's ride. We don't want to do that, but if somebody does ruin that and they do continue that argument on with an umpire in the parking lot, we will have to change that policy to not allow that. All right, enough of the doom and gloom. Just some more reminders. Infield practice. Please remember that there's no infield practice between games. Soft toss against a fence is prohibited. It causes extensive damage to the fencing. We're just now getting all this stuff replaced and new and nice for you guys. So we want to keep it as nice as long as we can, as nice as we can for as long as we can. So please remember that. No BP between games. That was something that we used to allow, or we just didn't really have a rule on it. But unfortunately, we did have somebody that got hurt walking down. Just a player or a spectator. I can't remember if I think it was a spectator. Was just walking up the sidewalk and we had a team on field 1 doing BP in between games, and they fouled one off that hit somebody coming up the sidewalk. So when we understand that could happen during a game, but we just want to eliminate the amount of times that could happen. So no more BP, as it has become a liability and a kind of a danger to have that many balls kind of flying out of there consistently and kind of coming into the same place. Scorekeeping, remember we do pass the book back and forth. Whoever's on offense will keep the book, and we'll record their own team score at the end of that half inning. You'll pass it over to the other team's representative. They'll keep their book. Both teams are responsible for checking the score each half inning, and both teams are responsible for bringing any discrepancies up right then and there to the attention of the umpire. Once the first pitch of the next half inning happens, you are not allowed to protest anything in the scorebook from previous innings. So that does include, at the end of the game, if you go to sign and you notice that back in the second inning they put 4 down and they should have only had 3, or you put 3 down and you should have had 5. At that point, we're done. You would have to have noticed that and brought that up and fixed it before the first pitch of the next half inning. Remember that in leagues where we have different divisions, that players can play on multiple teams as long as they are in different divisions. For instance, we do have we have a Rec 1 and a Rec 2 Tuesday league. So Rec 1, let's just pick on Team Faded, Anthony Ramirez. So Team Faded is in Rec 1. So if Anthony wants to keep playing, Anthony could, if Dustin Ballmer and the Brew Jays needed an extra player, and they knew Anthony, they could ask Anthony, and Anthony could say, sure, I'll come play with you guys in the Rec 2 league. But the thing is, if Jordan from Inglorious Batters was short on players, and he said, hey, Anthony, you guys play, come over and play with our team this day. You guys have more players. We need another player. Anthony would not be able to do that because they're in the same division. So just remember, if you are in the same division, you can't play on 2 different teams. I know it would be tough anyway, since they're playing at the same time, but it is a rule. You cannot play on 2 different teams that are in the same division. Teams that are in different divisions, though, that's just fine. Just make sure that if you are joining a team, that you put your name and you fill out one of those roster movement forms that I showed you and that we went over earlier. What else comes up a lot? Okay, for co-ed, another rule that comes up a lot is defensive positioning. Easiest way to remember this is if you're a guy and you're playing defense, you always have to have your feet in the dirt. If you're playing infield defense, if you're an infielder, you always have to start the play with your feet in the dirt. Once the ball is pitched, you can backpedal to the grass if you choose, but you do have to be in the dirt when the ball is pitched. Female players always have the choice to either play in the dirt or in the grass. It does not matter who the batter is. A female infielder always has the choice to either play in the dirt or in the grass. If it's a male batter, they have the choice. If it's a female batter, they have the choice. Again, I think that's the easiest way to remember. A male player, a male defensive infielder, always has to start with his feet in the dirt. A female defensive infielder always has the option. Another thing that comes up is the co-ed positions and how that is determined. Well, the main thing that comes up is when you're short players. So you have to have a minimum of 8 players to begin a co-ed softball game. Co-ed league rules say that you have to have half and half. So that means you have to have 4 guys and 4 girls. Well, then the question comes up, what happens if I have 5 girls show up and 4 guys? That's fine. Then you can play 9, and you can play all 5 girls and 4 guys. Then people will say, well, what happens if I have 5 males and 3 females show up? Well, technically then that would be a forfeit. However, if the other manager does agree, you can talk to the other manager, and if they do agree, we will allow you to start a co-ed game with 5 males and 3 females. They have to play in a very specific position, or everybody has to play in a specific position, and it's listed. It's on the second page of the rules at the very bottom. Minimum number of game players continued. So it goes over that exact scenario. Where people get confused, though, is okay, the other manager allowed it. You now have 5 guys, and you have 3 girls playing. So now you're playing the game, and your 4th girl shows up. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because now you have the minimum. Now you have 4 guys and 4 girls. So at that point, you do need to take a male player out of the lineup, and you need to go with 4 guys and 4 girls. If and when a 5th female shows up, you can reinsert the 5th male player back into the lineup. Again, I know it does get confusing, and hopefully I explained it well, but it is printed out as well, so you can read through that. One thing I did skip over was banned bats. Real quick, if you skip to the back of the packet, there's a pretty extensive list. We haven't had any new ones added in a long time. I think it's been over a year since any new bats have been added to the banned bat list. So we're seeing less and less of them out there. But just make sure that the bat that you're planning to bring out there does not appear on this list. Oscar is very good at spotting those, and we will remove them from the game. We do note it, what team it was, and if we do have multiple issues with one team using banned bats, then we'll talk to that team, on the side separately, and additional action could be taken against that team. One thing I think a lot of times that kind of comes up, or people forget about in co-ed versus men, is the commitment and safety line that exists in co-ed leagues, but not in the men's league. So in co-ed, to avoid collisions at home plate, we do paint a commitment line up from about halfway up from the from between home base and third home plate and third base. Once a runner crosses that commitment line, they cannot retreat back to third. So they have up until that commitment line to change their mind and run back to third if they feel that they're not going to be able to make it to home. After they cross the commitment line, they do have to continue on, and they will cross the safety line. The safety line is drawn from the back corner of home plate and should extend pretty far, about to the backstop. So a runner will cross the commitment line, and then they will cross a safety line. If the runner crosses the safety line before the catcher catches the ball and tags home plate with their foot, then the runner will be safe. It essentially turns into a force play similar to first base, or similar to even a safety base situation. So, in that spirit, just a reminder that the catcher or the whoever's throwing to the catcher, if it's a fielder, a pitcher picking up the ball, cannot tag the runner after they've crossed the commitment line. Again, the whole reason that we do that is to avoid collisions. So if you tag the runner after they cross the commitment line, but before they've crossed the safety line, they're going to be called safe, basically due to defensive interference. Another thing that's come up a couple times lately is the ball hit back at the pitcher. Just a reminder that the pitching area, so any ball that passes in the vertical plane of the pitching area will be considered an illegal hit, and the batter will be called out. This is a safety rule too, kind of often referred to as an up the middle rule. We do have an up the middle rule where we do not allow you to hit the ball back up the middle at the umpire. I'm sorry, at the pitcher. So the pitching area is defined as the width of the pitcher's box and then 2 feet above the pitcher's head. I know a lot of times pitchers, they think that it feels like it's coming right at them, but from the umpire's perspective, it might be 3 feet over their head. And then the pitcher will get upset. Hey, Blue, that was right over. That almost hit me in the face. How come? Why weren't they called out? It is a judgment call from the umpire, and the umpire does have to determine, if it was 2 feet or less above your head. If the umpire thinks that it was 27 inches above your head, then they're gonna not call that. So just know that we do allow, and if you want to wear a lot more pitchers are wearing the hockey style goalie mask, the face mask, that's totally okay. We do have several pitchers that wear them, and then we have pitchers that don't. So that is up to you. It's not a requirement of our league at all at this point. So that's up to you. Real quick, home runs. Every league, every co-ed league, except for the Friday Rec 2. Friday Rec 2 is 2 up, and Tuesday men's and Thursday men's are both 2 up home run leagues. All other co-ed, Friday Rec 1 and Sunday Rec 1 and Rec 2 are both going to be 1 up home run leagues. Last thing, kind of just touching back on the ejections and all that, there is a code of conduct. It's the last page of the rules. We do expect you to go over that with your team. I don't necessarily need you to sign or return this code of conduct to me. We used to do this when we would have physical managers meetings, and we would just use the code of conduct kind of as the sign-in to indicate that you were present at the meeting, but we haven't been doing that since COVID, so I don't need this back. But these are very important. They go more specific into kind of our conduct and our policy rules as opposed to the specific rules of the game. So please make sure that you're going over the code of conduct. We expect that your players all follow this code of conduct. We expect that any spectators or family or friends that you bring out to watch the game or to hang out at the park, they also follow this code of conduct. You as the manager will ultimately be responsible that your players and that your spectators do follow the rules in this code of conduct. So please make sure you're going over that with your team. Last thing I have to go over is the final scores. Please don't forget to initial the score sheet. Almost every discrepancy or problem with the scores, any kind of issue that is brought up with the score, I go back and I pull the sheets that get submitted to me, and lo and behold, 9 out of 10 times, either one or both of the managers didn't bother to initial the score sheet. Had they took the time to initial the score sheet, they would have caught the mistake right then and there. They could have had it fixed on the score sheet, and then by the time I get the information and then I put it out and send it out through email and put it on the website, it could have already been fixed. And so a lot of times I'll get the scores, I'll send them out to you guys, I'll put them out on the website, and then immediately I'll get a few emails. Oh, hey, you had this game 6-5, but you had us losing 6-5, but we actually won 6-5. Again, and I'll go back and I'll look at the score sheet, and 9 times out of 10, either one or neither one of the managers signed the score sheet. And if only one of them would have remembered, then it probably would have been accurate. But if both of them remembered, then then it's for sure going to be accurate. So please don't forget. If the umpire forgets, remind the umpire, because it behooves you, because that way you don't end up with a wrong score. Ultimately, I'll always go back and I'll ask the other manager, but ultimately I do have to go with what's on the score sheet. So if you feel that you guys won 6-5, but it gets reported to me that the other team won 6-5, and I call the other team manager and he goes, "Hey, I don't know, I don't remember. I think we did win 6-5." Well, then I have to stick with that. I can't change it based off of only what you say. So it's very important to please make sure that you are initialing that little box on the score sheet before you leave. So other than that, that's all that I have for you guys today. I appreciate everybody's participation. I look forward to another great, fun-filled season. Of course, if you ever have any questions or concerns, I'm always available. My contact information is at the bottom of the manager's meeting agenda packet. And I am always willing and able to discuss adult softball. It is one of the more fun, like I said, the more fun things that I like doing here. I like talking to you guys about it. I like coming out and checking games out. I try to be incognito and don't really bother you guys a whole lot when I go out there, but I do come out and just kind of watch and make sure everything's going smoothly from time to time. And so if you do see me out and you want to gab, talk to me, go ahead and grab me, and be more than happy to talk to you if you got a concern or anything like that. But other than that, if you have any questions, always feel free to get a hold of me or Jason. We'll be more than happy to get any of those questions answered. And again, I look forward to having a fun and safe spring 2022 season. Thank you for your participation, and thanks for watching this video. Have a great day.